Welcome back to the Nerdrotic channel. My name is Gary Beekler. I am live in San Francisco, California, and I come to you from nerdrotic.com, and it is Doctor Who Sunday. Doctor Who is back after almost a year break, not counting the Christmas special, of course. And yeah, it's quite a different show. I don't know if anybody noticed the differences. There might have been some slight talk on the internet about the Doctor being a woman. I know. There's been a lot of talk about this. And Bob Art Smith, that is my first question. And I was going to ask you guys in the chat. Now, normally we do here a full-on recap. We go down scene by scene. We try to break down the scenes, tell you what we thought of every scene. I'm only going to do a brief recap because I really want to get into the chat and hear what you guys think about the episode, about Jodie Whittaker, about everything. I don't know if we can avoid controversy on this one, but we're just gonna, we're gonna have a review, recap, discussion, and what happens. So hopefully, we people understand everybody's arguments, and we're all as nice as can be in the chat. But it's the internet, so whatever. Yes, Doctor Who season 11, episode 1. The Woman Who Fell to Earth. And where were the opening credits? Did I miss those? I was watching it on Sling, so I don't know if my recording missed it. I didn't see a theme song. I didn't see any ending credits. That's why I was very confused at the ending when their little post-game Doctor Who talk started. I was like, are we going to get more? I'm not really sure, but that's not really important. And thank you, Pen Farm Girl. For yes, this is The Boys. It's going to be a TV show on Amazon. A friend of mine is the artist, Derek Robertson. Please check it out. So to all of my fellow Whovians, which I count myself one, I am curious to see what you thought of the episode. Briefly, before we get in the spoiler territory, I'm going to say that the episode was okay. It was okay, but coming off of Stephen Moffat's last couple years, I think it's more of Eddie Murphy's Ritz cracker philosophy. Like if a man is starving in the desert and somebody gives him a Ritz cracker, it's the greatest thing he's ever tasted. And the storytelling from Stephen Moffat at best was inconsistent. At worst was horrible mystery box BS. So before I got to look for my spoiler paddle. That's what I'm looking for. Now, at this point, we're getting into spoilers. So if you've not watched the episode, please check out. This will turn into a video later, and you can come back in and watch it. But I don't want to be accused of spoiling anything for anybody without warning you. So thanks to Viking Bitch for providing this paddle. And funniest thing was, and no joke, when the episode ended, one of my action figures fell. Now you can't see it, but over there is my Doctor Who section, which at the end of the recap, I'll pull the camera out and I'll show you what it is. This whole room used to be filled with Doctor Who stuff. I like to mix it up once in a while, but this action figure fell down right at the end and fell right in my desk. Wow, like destiny, man. So yeah, there it goes. And yeah, overall thoughts of the episode real quick. It was okay. It got meta at moments, but it wasn't as annoying as I thought it would be. But Stephen Moffat's writing was pretty annoying, and it really makes that stand out more. Now, as far as being a Doctor Who fan, I'm still a hardcore fan. I still love a lot of the old stuff, but it's hard to say. Like, I kind of started dipping out in the last couple of seasons of Capaldi's era. Capaldi was a great Doctor who was given nothing. So that's going to go down as one of the biggest missed opportunities of all time. Hopefully Capaldi can come back in a anniversary episode or something and shine. And he definitely did shine in some episodes, but he is gone. Jodie Whittaker, to me anyway, Jodie Whittaker did a fine 10th Doctor impression. I think she did a very good, I got a 10th Doctor feel throughout the entire episode. And if you're going to, impersonate a previous Doctor, that is one of the ones you want to do it with. So I'm not going to argue with that. Hopefully she grows into, being her own Doctor, which I'm sure she will. The first episode at post regeneration, they're hit and miss. They're really hit and miss. And yeah, so we start out the episode again with no credits, and we see a 19-year-old named Ryan trying to learn how to ride a bike, and his granddad Graham is there, and his mom Grace. So he's trying to ride this bike, and he must have never have stepped on one before, because bikes aren't hard to figure out, but that's okay. So he gets frustrated. He throws his bike over the cliff. Granddad says, "Your ass is going down there and getting it." And they took off and they left him. As he's going down to get the bike, this little energy diamond shows up, makes some little shapes and has a little button. And he does what everybody else in the world would have done and presses the button. And that has some consequences with it. And then we see a giant pod that looks kind of like a poop show up, and he touches it, and at first it sounds like he burns his hand on it, but then we find out it's cold. He calls the police. We see a policewoman named Yasmin breaking up a little parking dispute. She talks about how she is bored with her job. She calls back to the station. She wants something better. They say, "Oh, we've got something better." So she ends up with Ryan, and they're sussing out what's going on with the pod of ice poop or whatever it is at this time. And yes, also our female cop or a fed is Yasmin Khan. And then we see Granddad Graham and Grace on the train on the way back, and something starts happening on the train, and they're attacked by a tentacle thing. A tentacle thing starts coming down and starts attacking everybody. It does kill somebody, and then the doctor kind of falls through a hole in the roof and basically runs around and saves everybody. And we get our gang together, and our companions are going to be Yasmin, Ryan, Graham, and Grace. Although I didn't see her in any of the promos, so that kind of leads us to believe what's going to happen to Grace. And I guess I'm going through this as fast as I can. So they fight the tentacle thing, and there's a guy named Carl that it's particularly interested in. And they get his name, and instead of joining the gang, Carl decides, I'm really not interested in all this stuff, and I want to go. And Graham had mentioned there's no, when the doctor had mentioned there's aliens, he said there's no aliens in Sheffield, and Carl agreed with him. I thought that I got a chuckle out of that one. We also find out that the doctor's TARDIS had blown up and thrown her out. So we don't see spoilers yet. We don't see a TARDIS this entire episode. She is also without a Sonic. She's wearing Capaldi's old stuff. She mentions a half an hour ago she used to be a white-haired Scotsman. So she basically chases off the tentacle thing that is on the train, and it goes off. And they are in the police car with Yasmin. The doctor asks if we can turn the lights and siren on. She says no. I thought that was kind of funny too. And I'm very much getting a 10th Doctor feel from her. And maybe that's just me. I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say about that. And they end up going back. Ryan had taken pictures, and they end up going back to the scene of the crime where the pod was, and it's gone. And it ends up in a van, which was very random. I was a little confused. Like, how did that guy know where it was? What's going on? And it's Raul is his name, or Rule. It's Rhaul. And he's there with a friend, and he pulls the pod out of his van. He says he's been looking for it for a long time. He sends his friends off. He gives them some money to go down to the pub, and he starts staring at it. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? But I did get when they showed, because I'm very sensitive to this, because I've watched a lot of old Who. When they showed the pod in the van and it was pulling up in the warehouse, it was a very long intro of the car driving up, and it just reminded me of all the really long intros and all the old Doctor Who's of cars pulling up to houses and stuff. I know some of you old Who fans will know what I'm talking about. There's like sometimes a solid minute of a car pulling up to a house just to kill some time. It's funny as hell. So I did like that. So they're trying to suss out what's going on. And of course, Graham, who used to be a bus driver, is all, hey, you got to ask bus drivers. They know what the hell's going on. And that's actually here in San Francisco. That is true. You want to know what's going on the streets? You ask a bus driver. That is completely true. So they split up and they try to find out if anybody's seen any monsters or any unusual things. And then we go back to the warehouse where the guy is staring at the pod. And we also see the tentacle thing on top of a building, and it's kind of scanning the city. So yeah. And also the tentacle thing had tagged all the survivors in the train with something, and we find out that they have DNA bombs. So there's a little light on their collarbones, and the doctor sees all of them, and basically it melts your DNA upon detonation. And I was thinking, oh, this is Chris Chibnall. Are we going to get the arbitrary countdown clock? But we didn't. We kind of did, but we didn't. And I started thinking of the Power of Three a little bit. I got a little bit of, it reminded me of that somewhat. But it actually made sense because the tentacle thing wanted to take out any witnesses. So that's actually logical. And then we are back with Raul. I'm mispronouncing his name. Sorry, I only saw the episode once. This is a visceral reaction. He is staring at the pod as it cracks open. And before that, he's like, he's talking about his sister. Now, where's his sister? We see something emerge from the pod, and it's like, this big warrior in some kind of armor. And he said, "Where's my sister? She was missing 7 years ago." I saw, and he had been tracking this thing, basically waiting for it to come back, and it came back, and then he's instantly killed. Basically, he asks where his sister is. The creature says, "Ask me again," and he asks again, and then he's all, "You'll never know," and kills him. And then you hear him kind of crack something open, like he's breaking open his bones or something, but we don't know what's going on right now. So they're still trying. The doctor's still trying to convince her companions that that these things are aliens. Now they're starting to believe them more, and the doctor admits that she's an alien. And she kind of susses out that it might be two alien races using Earth as a battleground. And yeah, so that's what we think right now. And they're still looking for that. And they end up tracking down the warehouse. They run over, they find the dead body, and they find that the tooth is missing, and that kind of pisses off the doctor. And she's like, "Bad enough that you killed him. It's like, why are you taking a freaking tooth?" And I'm like, is this the tooth fairy? Is this a weird twist on the tooth fairy? Who knows? But they luckily find so this warehouse has been like a base for this guy to wait for this alien to come back, and they find a computer, and right in the middle of the computer, because we all have one, actually I'm going to work on mine today, is if I die, click this. So he clicks on the program, and he has a little video explaining that his sister was taken 7 years ago, and I've been tracking this thing, waiting for it to come back. And of course, it all ends in tragedy because he died. And there's also there's something left undone at the end of this episode that really made me, and that this is kind of a Chibnall thing. So it turns out it's not two species warring each other. To fast forward. The doctor also makes her own Sonic with good Sheffield steel. I did kind of like this scene. She, constructed her own Sonic, and because we need the Sonic, because it's the get out of jail free card for everything now. And she, so we find out that this alien is actually hunting trophies. It marked Carl as, he arbitrarily looks for any human, and he marked Carl. And we find out that the alien, and it's for him to be a commander, so he has to come down to Earth with no tech, which he's totally cheating because he's got the armor. And he's killed a couple people already. He killed some guy in the alley for throwing a salad at him, which I'd probably do myself. And he takes the teeth and he puts them in his face. So he says all of his conquests, they take some kind of trophy. So all of his conquests must be human because his face was filled with human teeth, so has he been down here before hunting lots of humans? Is this like the first time, the 8th time? We don't really know because his face is filled with human teeth. The doctor susses this out. But he keeps running from the doctor. Right. And, they figure out that it's after Carl. So they go to Carl's work, and Carl, of course, works on a crane, but he's afraid of heights, but it's his dad's company. So, we have a cute little scene of a grandpa talking to his granddaughter on his iPad. And of course, he gets killed right afterwards. So the adventure continues. They go climb up the crane. They go to save Carl. He's gonna, take Carl home and basically, and his name is Tim Shaw, by the way. It's Zim Shaw, but the doctor keeps calling him Tim Shaw, which is kind of funny. Um, and they get up. I'm fast forwarding through this. So they get up to the top of the crane, and we find out that the humans are taken to the planet as basically trophies, and they're left in stasis. So Raul's sister is up on the planet, still kind of alive, in between life and death, which the doctor finds obscene, of course. So an adventure ensues. When we get to the crane yard, there's nobody there, but then we see Graham and Grace with vests on, and they fake like they're safety inspectors, and they clear out everybody. And in the meantime, Ryan and Yasmin climb the crane. Ryan, of course, cannot ride a bike, and he's also afraid of heights. Okay, and of course, everybody else is brave. Whatever. And yeah, and that's what I'm a little sensitive to, guys. Okay, because what Moffat really did a lot was, all men are stupid. I mean, just go watch any River Song episode, which is, it's a funny joke, like maybe twice, but they really did it an entire season, and that's part of the reason I really got tired of it. And it's fine if you'd use it both ways, but it's not something they use both ways, because I am a firm believer that anything is funny. So they go up, and the doctor takes on Tim Shaw, and she had extracted his return device, his little beacon, so he can go home. So he threatens to detonate the DNA bombs, and she's all, well, if you do that, we won't go home. I'll destroy this. And she basically gets him, she tricks him, and then Carl kicks him over. The doctor throws the little device, and Tim Shaw survives and goes home. But while Grace was climbing up the crane to go take on the little tentacle thing, because it was going to destroy the whole crane, she ends up falling and dying because Carl had kicked over the alien. And even when he did that, he kicked over Tim Shaw. The doctor said, you had no right to do that. So Grace dies at the end, and we have Grace's funeral. We have kind of our last meeting between our companions. Yasmin, Ryan, and Graham is there. And, the funeral part was pretty good. The beginning of the episode, we saw a video of Ryan talking about the greatest woman he's ever met. And of course, we assumed it was the doctor. But by the end of the episode, we find out he was talking about his mom, his grandma, Grace. And of course, Ryan's dad is out of the picture because in everything from obviously BBC and Hollywood, dads are out of the picture for some reason, because like we can't have good dads, even in the good old UK. So we see the doctor put on her Mork for Mork clothes, and she still doesn't have her TARDIS. So they have a little scene of her in a warehouse again, kind of putting stuff together. And she said, I'm going to get her. Apparently the TARDIS is on another planet, so she's going to call it in. She's ready to say goodbye to her companions, and they get zapped into space, and they're all out in the vacuum, and that's where it ends. So there was no TARDIS in this episode, and I was really confused because I didn't see any end credits. They just went into the post-game show, and I was like, what the hell? What the hell? But it wasn't a terrible episode. I'm going to be honest with you guys. It was somewhat entertaining. It got kind of boring and predictable at the end. But with First Doctor episodes, the more important thing is characterizing the Doctor and just visceral thoughts without thinking very much. I haven't gone over this episode again to kind of dissect canon, and also canon's been, canon with Doctor Who's not like canon with Star Trek. You can play with it a lot because it's time travel. So, I haven't gone back to see if there's anything wrong with that. I just thought it was okay. It was okay. They really didn't hit us over the head a lot with the I'm a woman stuff. They have in the promos, they have in talking about it to the press. Radio Times put out a headline that was misleading. But honestly, and I'm going to say this truthfully, there was a couple of meta moments in it that were pretty obvious, that were a little preachy, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. But I mean, not as bad as I thought it would be. It's still not great. Okay. So yeah, she talks about we can still remain who we are and evolve past it. Yeah. Okay. I got it. I got it. And but again, it wasn't that bad. But here, let's get to what you guys think. Um, yeah, and there was a couple of callbacks to the 12th Doctor, like when she pulled out the spoon and melted the spoons to make the sonic screwdriver, and right before she recalls the TARDIS, she says "deep breath," which of course was the 12th Doctor's first episode. The problem with that is exactly when you say spoon, I think of the Tick, and the 12th Doctor went through so many changes. I don't think there's a definitive version of. I don't think he's really in the lore, because he changed so much and there were so many starts and stops, and that's where they've handed Jodie Whittaker. I mean, they've given it proper publicity. I'm sure the ratings will be great, but this is like, Richie Cunningham leaving at the end of Happy Days. Now, I know this show restarts over and over again, but we're in its 11th season. It's had 2 one-year breaks. And actually, it's had some more within that. It's had split seasons, 1-year breaks, all these weird inconsistencies that no other show would survive except for Doctor Who. The thing is, when you whittle away at the fan base like that, I don't know how many people are coming back. I know a lot of fans dipped out with the 12th Doctor. Some fans dipped out with the 11th Doctor. They had so much great momentum at the 50th anniversary, and Star Trek could really, Star Trek should be kicking themselves in the ass because Doctor Who did the 50th anniversary right. The buildup for it was amazing. They did a bunch of prequels. They brought back the 8th Doctor in a prequel. They did the 5-ish Doctors, which was as good as the 50th anniversary special. I fucking love the 5-ish Doctors. They put in extra episodes. They made an actual special that was a worldwide event that we ended up showing in my comic store at the time. It was great. That year at Comic-Con, Doctor Who absolutely owned Comic-Con. There was TARDIS dresses, freaking weeping angels, and doctors everywhere. This year, nothing. Crickets. I think San Diego Comic-Con is a good barometer on what's going on in the nerd world. And yeah, it was nothing going on. So, hey, I wish it all the luck in the world. My thoughts on, I'm not a big fan of the female Doctor, but I could look at this as a show, and by no means do I think my opinion is important enough to where something shouldn't exist or you shouldn't enjoy it. And I don't want to piss on anybody's enjoyment of anything, but I remain a little surprised at, I didn't hate the episode, and but am I going to be like deeply into the show like I was before? No. I mean, no. That's going to take time. We'll see if, it wasn't bad to where I'm not going to watch the next episode and recap it. And we'll see how well it does in the channel, of course. I don't know. Because I'm not super rah, I'm going to get a bunch of shit. And because I'm not super, so I'm kind of like middle of the road on this, but that's how I really feel about it. Let's get to the chat now. Enough of my babbling. Thanks for sitting through that. You guys are great for waiting. Holy shit, we have 119 viewers. I was not expecting that. I wasn't even going to review this. I got talked into it by our wonderful patrons. So thank you so much. And I'll go back as far as I can. Gary, it's basically Doctor Who does Predator, wasn't it? A little bit, very light. I mean, they had some deaths, and that's Doctor Who. I mean, people, honestly, the security guard talking to his granddaughter, I'm like, dead guy, poor Grampy. At least he got to say goodbye to his granddaughter right after, and it's true. He was talking to his granddaughter on the iPad. He's all, it's not often that a granddaughter talks to her grandpa this much. Yeah. Oh, good night, honey. And then crack, gets his jaw ripped open. And that's the thing, is when the thing, they didn't show it, but when it takes the tooth out, it rips your jaw out too, which is pretty gruesome. So that was very Doctor Who. Renee Monsoyas, the TARDIS agrees with Brexit fandom. That's funny. Not liking the Mork outfit. No, I actually was okay with her in Capaldi's clothes. Is that weird? And then when she broke out the Mork outfit with the Hot Topic, I was like, oh. And those pants. Yes, I'm criticizing, but you know what? The 6th Doctor had a shitty outfit too. And for the most part, the Eighth Doctor's, Victorian era thing was pretty silly as well. It still amazes me how much they lift from, the Eighth Doctor episode, the Fox episode. Um, if I remember correctly, and I think I am, the whole breathing out thing after you regenerate started there. I could be wrong on that one, but all the older episodes, people just got up. The whole regeneration was, we just got up and we do it. Uh, in a van down by the river. Well, look what happens. With Chris Chibnall's writing, he does a lot of Moffat isms where he introduces characters with no follow through. So here's my no follow through, and maybe they'll deal with this later, but probably not. But isn't Raul's sister still on a planet in stasis? Is the Doctor just going to let that happen? Yeah, I don't know. They left the guy alive, so my feeling is Tim Shaw will be coming back. The episode was a bit Predator-esque. They go to another planet in episode 2, so I guess the TARDIS is used, says David Hill. Yep. Well, they are going to use the TARDIS. Dennis was asking in the chat whether they're like hunting for the TARDIS will be the whole plot for the season, which it might be. I don't know. I have watched nothing before this. I watched a trailer, but I have read no reviews. I didn't watch the pre-show. I didn't do anything after that. I just wanted to go into this cold. The TARDIS will appear because they are all floating in space. Yes, they can't live very long floating in space. That's for sure. Don't get me wrong, Jodie Whittaker is amazing at acting, but I feel like she doesn't have the thrill of the other doctors gave, says Ethan Harrison. She's got to work at that. She definitely does. And doing a Tennant impression, while good at the beginning, she does have to come into her own. One thing I like about the 2005 series, because I'm a fan of both Doctor Who's, but the modern Doctor Who is Action Doctor. All right. And we now have the technology to give this show good special effects. The special effects were decent. Okay. They put a lot of money into this. They did. But how do they breathe in space? Trico, Aloydo, they be dead. The fact of the matter is, unless the TARDIS materializes, and I know there's some science out there that says 10 seconds, you're in a vacuum, it's freezing. I think you'd be, and then unless there's sunlight on you, and then you burn. So I don't, you wouldn't last very long. I can't imagine more than a couple seconds. Now I'm sure some scientists will go, there's been some scientific theories out there that nobody's actually done it. So we don't know. We have theories, unless they've taken a poor little monkey or a dog and done it. Nobody actually knows. 12th regeneration, nothing is fixed anymore. Yeah. So we don't know if there's a limit on regenerations, because we know what was up with Capaldi was a new set of regenerations. Capaldi did mention he has no idea how many he has left, and in his last episode, he was ready to give up and quit, which was weird. Because there was nothing like leading up to that. And that was the biggest disappointment with Stephen Moffat's last season, is we took a year off, and I thought he was just going to clamp down and give us like this cohesive story. And, and we didn't get it. And now we can say that Moffat just did not know what to do with the Daleks. I only liked 1.5 of his Dalek episodes. So I thought Asylum of the Daleks was a good episode. I liked that episode. And Victory of the Daleks had moments that I liked, except for the M&M Daleks, which I do have their action figures though, but they're ridiculous. Davros is the one dislike. Nah, it's probably more than Davros. Believe me, I'm going to get dislikes on this one. I'll tell you what, folks, it's better than Star Trek Discovery. I'll tell you that. Wonder if we get an episode later in the season going to the Predator's home planet to free all the human trophies, asked Carrie Dalton. Yeah, we probably will. We probably will. That was the kind of convention that the doctor was able to transfer it to the alien afterwards. Was okay, yeah, Jody. Would have been more interesting, at least, if one of them was killed using the DNA bomb. Yeah, I would have. Yeah, that would have been kind of gruesome to see, but yeah, I agree. Bolt Dr. Gamer. Hello. Looks like we get a quarry next week, says Captain Robert April. Well, it can't be a Doctor Who episode without a slow, long drive up to a house or a base of some kind and a quarry. Yes, we have a rock quarry. Captain Robert April, when I am arching or when I'm being arched by my nemesis is that we always look for the local quarry to go have our final battle in. Um, I highly recommend it. Actually, the local quarry is a good place to have your final battle in. I mean, you could throw rocks at your nemesis. You can have long, monologues with each other atop the quarry or below it. Yeah, it's a great place for a final duel. Yeah, I mean, Doctor Who. I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, okay, Doctor Who. Uh, it, Doctor Who has always been somewhat political and preachy. Yes, that's part of it. So is Star Trek. I mean, not preachy. And if you go back to the older Doctor Who's, it's I mean, they're very like anti-war. I mean, like I don't know if anybody who's like actually for war though. So I don't know if that's really like reaching out on a limb. Um, and anti-genocide. Again, I don't know who's pro-genocide. Even the doctor, like stopping, he's had a couple of opportunities to kill all the Daleks and he hasn't done it because he doesn't believe in genocide. And, although that's the whole Batman Joker theory, I totally get that. And plus, why would you kill and they've already have wiped out the Daleks and brought them all back. Jodie at the end talks about her family being, Jodie, the 13th Doctor talks at the end about her family being gone, dead. I do believe that is the first time. I got to go back. And I guess she said gone. I didn't think she said dead. They are no longer on this world. So maybe now that I think about that statement, they could be still alive somewhere else, pocket dimension where Gallifrey is. But that's the first mention of it. Occasionally they brought up like he's brought up having children. Of course, then we assume he had a wife or a partner. Of course, he was a granddad. But that was the first time somebody's asked him in a long time and asked him, do you see what I just fucking did? Asked the doctor. And the first time the doctor answered properly, like my family is gone, but they travel with me. And, but I'm assuming dead at this point. I just couldn't help, I'm sorry, I can't. Here we go. Beast Ari says, I just couldn't help but feel she was giving the bare minimum in her acting. I respect the decision to appoint her, but I don't agree that they had to make the doctor a woman. No, I don't agree with that at all. And if somebody wants to come in here and talk identity politics, which I don't, because I am not a fan. I am not a fan of identity politics, and we don't talk about politics here. You know what? You can also argue you can make Superman a woman because he's an alien, and the Kryptonians could probably change their sex. And yeah, of course, you can do whatever you want. It's make believe story. What this does it fundamentally change your show? That's the question you have to ask. Now that we're going to see the product, we're going to see the product tested out. We'll see. One episode in, it's hard to say. It's really hard to say. My general feeling is it was kind of okay. It needs to be extraordinary, and that's not fair to Jodie Whittaker. Whether you're a fan of her or not, you have to admit that they didn't really. I mean, when they changed the Doctor into a woman, it was an act of trying to keep the show relevant. We're in 11 seasons. The ratings have been slipping for a long time. They've been slipping in the UK. They've been slipping worldwide. They've been slipping here in the States. The Christmas episode kind of went meh. It did okay here. I didn't check to see what it did in the UK. I'm sure it did well. And Sydney Moon, that is the most important part of any main character. I'm going to highlight it here. although you're not seeing that, is male or female, charisma. You got to have charisma. And, you know, Matt Smith had some charisma. David Tennant had charisma. Tom Baker could probably, if it wasn't for William Shatner, could probably trademark the word, and Harrison Ford. Yeah, charisma. Absolute charisma. Not to sound morbidly sadistic. Jodie, you're so morbidly sadistic. But if you have multiple supporting characters, you can afford to kill off a few. show show the bad guys evil. Yep. Now the thing is, I guess she would die because she wasn't in any of the promotional material. So what I would have done if I was the Beeb is I would have put her in the promotional material and then kind of hoodwinked you at the end there. The good old quarry and Doctor is a Doctor Who staple, says Ian Batchelor. What's up, Ian Batchelor? And Captain Robert April. How's it going? What's up? And Carrie Dalton and Kato Roan and Renee Monsoya and Ethan Harrison, Sydney Moon, Bolt, Dr. Gamer, Souffle Girl. What's up, Souffle Girl? And Mako and Mary Ashmead. And I will give you all the shout out, by the way. Trico Loiter. At the end, she says to the crane guy, "You have no right to do that," but she put a bomb in the alien's head. Exactly. I was like, what? Yeah, sanctimonious and hypocritical. I thought Jodie Whittaker did pretty good. It was at the end in the after show and before show. Yeah, the after show and before shows, I didn't watch much of, Mary, because I knew what it would be, and I didn't want anything to influence my thoughts before I went on our show, because we are not sponsored by the BBC. We are not sponsored by anybody, but I am absolutely open to getting a check to shill at some point. I'll just wink at you when that happens. Mako says all of the episodes will stand alone this season. That is, yes, that is true. But that doesn't mean they won't bring it back in future seasons, Mako. But yes, all the episodes are standing alone, but that doesn't mean there might be some cohesive thread. They are also, I believe, not bringing in any Daleks or anything this season. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. That's what I read somewhere, that they really wanted to just focus on the Doctor. And kind of, this is a reboot. This is a reboot. Of course, it has the connective tissue. They talked about the 12th Doctor and everything, but it's a reboot. I blame Moffer for all the SJW nonsense. Now that he is gone, I think it will calm down, says David Hill. And I agree. And Moffer, I think he was dictated a lot of stuff. And I think he just tried to be a good company guy, because if you look at his writing in season 6 compared to season 8, season 9, it's a different dude. It's a different dude. And this is after he flamed out and quit on Twitter when a bunch of, you know what? Like I said, I say it like this: when a very few people on Twitter started attacking him for being a sexist. Now, I don't know if he made a tweet or something he did in his personal life. So, I mean, if it was related to that I don't know. But if it's for content within the show, huh? What? I mean, okay. Yeah, fine. If it's within the show and you're that sensitive to stuff, then maybe you shouldn't be watching television. Just saying. I don't know. Renee says Doctor Who without the SJW would be the old Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Well, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, just in my mind, exists completely in the world of Doctor Who. They are very similar. I also believe it might have been conceived of that from that. I'm not 100% sure. I've read a lot of books. I've read the radio show book, but it was like by Neil Gaiman. But that was a long time ago. So I know he insinuated it was right around the same time. I know Douglas Adams was an awful showrunner of Doctor Who, which he would have freely admit. But his stories were excellent. Oh my God, I love Douglas Adams so much. So Douglas Adams, I have very few heroes that create art. My dad's my hero, but or was, he's not around anymore. But Douglas Adams is like one of my heroes, like one of the people I looked up to. I loved everything he did. I love his writings. His The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is my Bible. I think it's full of wonderful philosophy and a point of view on life that we all should have a little of, which is don't take everything so fucking seriously. When she finds the TARDIS, she might get a proper sonic screwdriver, says Captain Robert April. Yeah, I thought that's what her sonic screwdriver looked like. I did like the building of it and seeing the building of it. That was I like it when the Doctor like puts together his see, I did it again. The Doctor puts together his or her little machines and stuff, the little wacky technology that's made out of everything. I've always liked that. Like what he made and when the 10th Doctor made the thing to attract the ghosts when it was the Cybermen. Renee Montoya, the most dangerous game, lawn darts. That's a Venture Brothers reference. Whovians, if you're watching this, watch. If you're a comic book fan and science fiction fan, watch the Venture Brothers. It's the greatest show ever. Making a Sonic sounds very A-Team-esque. It was. You could almost hear that A-Team music. Da, 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 especially when she got the sledgehammer that she could barely lift. Oh, it was funny. Those things are heavy. Okay, I'll give you that. A Rambo cold cut sequence. The line at the end, "It's a long time since I bought women's clothes," really annoyed me, and me as well. Beast Ray. The Doctor has never been a woman before, and there's clearly trying to justify their decision. They are, and they went further by canonizing. Well, I guess they've canonized all the Big Finish stuff. So they canonized the Christmas special with Rowan Atkinson. Was Rowan Atkinson, the Blackadder guy? The one Christmas special where the Ab-Fab woman turns into the Doctor at the end, and that was fucking hilarious. And that was also written by Stephen Moffat. They canonized that supposedly, and they canonized a Big Finish. So that's what they're referring to. But at least the first time I remember seeing it on the television show was talking about the Mighty Corsair and the Doctor's Wife, written by Neil Gaiman. If there's a reference to that before that, there might have been with other Time Lords, though. I gotta remember back though. Minor quibble. Did they have to go with that Mork from Orc look? She looked more badass in the shirt and vest from 12 Saphet. And the welder's goggles. I like the weld. I did. Very steampunk. Yeah, that was I am betting they change that look or they modify it as time goes on. They may be an overarching story, but it's going to standalone episodes, no two-parters, said Mako. Yeah, I heard that as well. Yeah, no two-parters. I am a fan of the Doctor Who two-parters. I don't know about you guys. Let me know what you think out there. People think Moffat went a little crazy with them. I liked season 5 and 6. I did. I still think Moffat's best episode was the 11th Doctor. That was come on, guys. That was a great episode. That was a great episode of Doctor Who and television. It was lots of fun. It set up a lot of fun stuff that never really got paid off properly, in my opinion, but that's Moffat. In all fairness, episode starts out with the guy saying he isn't stupid, says Nigel Brought Savage. Well, Nigel, if you have to tell yourself you're not stupid, I don't know. He didn't seem like a stupid lad to me. Seemed like a good lad, Ryan. Yes. Victorian dress. The alien tooth stealer was the tooth fairy. Yeah, I would have totally gone with that. I mean, like, that's your tooth fairy lore, and he's been coming back and, but he's been killing children. I mean, go dark. Why not? They seem to play in it and they go back. I thought Captain Jack would come out of the shell. Bolt Dr. Gamer, if you wanted to win back so many fans instantly, that's what you would have done. Even for a second, and have them blip out again or something like that. Not bringing Captain Jack back has been, especially when John Barrowman is out there pleading to come back to the show, like over and over again. And I don't know, does any fan out there, do anybody out here in the chat, do you not want Captain Jack back in some form or another? The only thing I can think of is they thought that, and honestly, it would be true. At this point, if you bring Captain Jack back, he would be more popular than the Doctor. And maybe that's what kept him doing it. Would love to see an episode with the 13th Doctor and River Song. If they ever have to do what I feel like I feel like they will have new applications for the sonic screwdriver. well, C Chill 68. Oh man. Men feel threatened. Do we feel threatened in the Bay Area? Yeah, men feel threatened. I feel when do I feel threatened in the Bay Area? I don't. How about those closing credits? Yeah. It was BBC America people and a girl from Attack of the Show who I could not believe that was her. I'm like, is that what's her name from Attack of the Show? It is. William Winters says, I was very disappointed. I've been watching the show since the 70s. It is way too dark, not child friendly. Jodie Whittaker Christmas performances felt detached. It did. And that's weird, William, because they said they wanted to go more child friendly. But again, what they do is they make a show nowadays, and everything they say, in media, and you guys know this, I'm telling you shit, but let's say it anyway. What the fuck? Everything they say is run through focus groups, media groups. Now what they do is they'll like Venom, the movie Venom just came out. They announced there's a trilogy beforehand, or they'll announce with Titans, the TV show, before it even airs, they announce it's going to get a second season. They announce all these intentions, and what it is just marketing. And they feel like, well, if it doesn't work one way, we can swing it that other way and say we did it. We say we talked about it. Just go back and look. With Doctor Who, I remember reading articles that Matt Smith had signed on for an 8th season, had signed on to continue with the Doctor right up until he left. With Game of Thrones, hey, we can go 10 seasons. We're talking about it. Oh, we're ending the show early. Don't take anything these people say at face value. So yeah. And what you see, they felt like they could take the risk with Jodie Whittaker at this point because the show was dying. It was about to get probably canceled anyway. It's a really expensive show. It's a very expensive show. And I believe it is now their most expensive show. Correct me if I'm wrong, Silver Spike, if you're in there, or Mako. I know Top Gear was their most expensive show. Now, last time I checked was like 3 years ago, so it could be something else. But 13th Doctor Riversong kissing will make the whiners' heads explode. Well, yeah, I mean, well. Kind of hard when you live in the US. Oh, and I don't know. That's crosstalk here. By the way, the chat, you guys have been great. You guys have been fantastic. Thanks for showing up. I really appreciate it. This is a lot of fun. I'm quite surprised at the draw right now. So thank you all for joining us and sitting here and chatting about it, getting your feelings out, positive or negative. I have a lot of wrenches in there, but honestly, say what you feel as long as you're respectful. It's all good. It's all good. You're not going to get judged by me. Make that Karen Gillan, my little. Sorry, I was just reading crosstalk. I don't. Ian. Is it Cownley or Conley? Sorry, was it like a silent W? I'm awful at pronouncing names, so please feel free to correct me. Ryan has dyspraxia, so he has problems with balance. That's why he has problems with the bike and heights. And yes, they did mention that afterwards, and I did. Ian, I have to admit, I had to look it up. Okay, I'm not stupid. No, just kidding. I had to look it up. So yeah, then that explains it. Then maybe he just shouldn't be riding a bike. Is it that important for him? I mean, if he's got it, that's gonna, make it very hard for him to ride a bike and kind of dangerous. So maybe he should just stick to walking. I mean, is that important to ride a bike? The sonic screwdriver, not made with TARDIS tech, no TARDIS. No, it's bigger on the inside. No title opening. No classic monsters or aliens. They are really selling it, aren't they? Says Mr. Roboto. Agreed. I don't think those were things you needed to go away from. I think if you wanted to differentiate yourself from it, you did. It's a woman. Uh, Otherwise, I would have really gone with the title sequence, doing the bigger on the inside. You want to keep it cohesive, but no, they really want to set this apart. Maybe they feel like that stuff is tired and old. I totally disagree. Uh, in the UK, they're usually dead in war, overseas, or got deported. Gotcha. It's talking about dads. Says Renee. Talking about my reference to dads. Here they're just bad. They're lame and they bail out on their kids and they're drinking somewhere, or with a younger woman or something like that. Of course, not saying that doesn't happen, but I'm a dad. I don't drink. I'm still around. I quite like my wife. Don't forget about the spoon, and I will not forget about the spoon. You liked it, Gary. It's okay to accept it, just like double butthole Klingons. That is a reference to a video that I made. Please check it out. When they were talking, Star Trek Discovery was doing a panel at New York Comic Con, and the most interesting question was, because we found out last year, because it's canon now, that Klingons have two Johnsons, and somebody wanted to know if they had two exits, which is honestly the most interesting thing about that show. I will freely admit, Mako, that Doctor Who was better than Star Trek Discovery. Flat out better first episode than Star Trek Discovery. Did I like it? I didn't hate it. Is it enough for me to tune in every week and be like I used to be with Doctor Who? No, not even close. Not even close. I think, do I blame this show for that? No. I mean, that's Moffat's fault. And the BBC's fault. The Beeb has done as much damage to Doctor Who as Stephen Moffat. I know a lot of people just adore the BBC, and I like a lot of stuff that they make. But honestly, we don't know what Chibnall and Moffat had to go through prior to writing a script. What the show does feel like, and what it felt like the last 2 years, is the BBC handed them this little checklist of stuff that you have to check off before you write your episode. And it's probably some formula based on a Twitter poll or something, like, who fucking knows. And it's like, make sure you have this in it. Make sure somebody has, what was it? Dyspraxia. Okay. Make sure somebody has like dyslexia or dyspraxia, or they're on the spectrum or something like that. And then make sure you have this and that. And, you check off all your boxes and then go write your show. They should have actually died, right? They're in space. I half expected the TARDIS to materialize last second. That's what I was waiting for too. I don't know if what would happen faster. No, the asphyxiation takes a little time, but I think they would freeze to death. It depends. If the sun, I know if you're standing on the moon, right? If you're in a shadow, you freeze to death, and if you're not, you burn alive. You just, because it's a difference of like a few hundred degrees or something like that. Yes, there is a very, very thin atmosphere on the moon, but it's really not enough to worry about. Thankfully, they didn't hit us over the head with the "I'm a woman, deal with it" stuff. Yes, but they have a lot more episodes to go, Jodie. I can't wait to see the time vortex now. We did partially see it at the end credits, but it was very hard to distinguish. Ethan, you got end credits? Here in the States, we did not get end credits. We didn't get credits at all. So I'm going to go back over my recording. I tried to do it before I went live. That's why I was a few minutes late. I didn't see any. So if they had beginning credits, please later, I'm trying to catch up in the chat. Tell me where they were, because I guess I missed them. Please hit the like button if you like what you see. If you don't, then don't do something you don't want to do. It's all right. But as we say here, lick that button, but make sure to clean the keyboard first. It's always good to have a sanitized keyboard. There, I can check off my box now. I did my, yeah. And knowing is half the battle. I did my PSA, public service announcement. I like the line, Gary, but it did feel a little meta, and deep breath made me think of 12. It did. Man, deep breath. What an episode to start your doctor off with. That was dark. Let's start off by killing a dinosaur, and then we'll have a bunch of people who are basically, just using human skins. Make it the kind of defunct sequel to one of the greatest episodes of New Who ever, and pay it off very poorly. Girl in the Fireplace. That is a great episode. Floating in space like Princess Leia. What were they thinking? They were all everybody's Mary Poppins. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. Capaldi didn't really settle into his character until last year, says Captain Robert April. I agree with that statement. Unapologetic. Yeah, Renee. What's calls Niter? Who's a Niter? I don't know what Niter. What's a Niter, Renee? Would love to see the new Doctor interact with the Master. If he or she is still alive. With Missy, yep. It was great seeing John Sim back as the Master. I mean, like the best example of annoying was at the end of that episode, and it's not the sentiment of the statement; it's the statement, folks. Okay, so hear me out here. When the Master, who is a Time Lord, who has the perspective of thousands of years, we're going to say thousands. We'll say thousands of years, multiple races. Like even as a villain, I don't think he's going to be sexist, right? So he goes, "Is the future going to be all girl?" And then, of course, the Doctor goes, "Let's hope so." Okay, so for one, we want girls in the future. I'm a big fan of ladies in the future. If the future was a sausage fest, that'd be really boring. There'd be lots of Metallica playing. Yeah, and no. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with Metallica, but come on, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, the statement like that doesn't need to be in Doctor Who. They even mentioned our current president's name by name in a Doctor Who episode. It's like, come on. Well, they mentioned Nixon, but again, it was Moffat. And what I kind of like in that silly episode with Nixon. That guy didn't look like Nixon at all, but I did kind of thought that was funny. CBS could no longer do Star Trek right. Nyla Shadow, it should be ripped from their hands. Captain Robert April, go out and do it. That's your job. You're a captain. The TARDIS could still show up in the opening seconds of the next episode, and that's what I'm guessing. Jodie came on Build TV. Okay, gotcha, Renee. Sorry. Great, except they just had Happy Days ruined. By the way, Souffle Girl, Happy Days is on CBS All Access. What the hell? That's an ABC show. And so was Taxi. And Taxi moved to NBC from ABC. So what's it doing on CBS All Access? I'm a little confused. I was going to do a pre-video for this, and I had decided to scrap it and just save it for this, and I'm glad I did. And I did a bunch of research showing shows that changed actors at the end and how they failed. And then I saw like how many videos there were of that. I'm like, oh God, I don't want to do that. Um, so it's better to just talk to you. You fine folks. You fine folks. Okay, so I'm down towards the bottom of the chat. Um, Man, we've had like 160 people here at one point. We're down to 142. That is great. I am 42. Oh, we lost somebody else. But hey, that is great. Thank you so much. Trying to get up to, by the way, so we're gonna go for a few more minutes here. Silver Spike, what's up? We got an end credits here, and a full credits won't appear until later episodes. Gotcha. Okay. Looks like there is some work going on by our moderators. There you go. The end credits showed the guest actors in the future episodes, which I think they really shouldn't have done, but it felt like they were doing it to show all the minorities. Well, they had to check that box off, and that's good. I mean, great. But when you start a creative endeavor by limiting yourself to, I need to put this in there, and this is including, white folks. Okay. When you start a creative endeavor going, I need this person to be this, you need to like start with the inside out on a person. It's good to have a description and stuff. Your main character, yeah, that's good to think about what my main character looks like and everything. That's great. And just let it naturally happen. And it will. And then you get better art. But when you start art with like, and I don't mean to use the word I don't mean to use the word limitations, but it is a limitation when you have a checkbox. Trust your writer. Okay. I don't think there's any I don't know how many like outwardly racist writers are working in entertainment today. I'm wondering. I don't think many. I'm just gonna guess it's not many. Okay. Trust your writers. They'll handle all of that stuff. They're talented people. Okay. But it's usually not the writers. It's the suits. We all know this. It's the suits. And my argument remains what it's always been. They act as that, they being the suits, the people who run these companies, act as if we're the ones who weren't casting people, who were casting, weren't representing people in shows for years and years. No. It was you guys casting all this shit. It was you guys writing, you guys directing. It was all your decisions. We just simply watched what you provided to us. So now you all of a sudden change your mind. You're like, hey, we want to be, like normal people now, which you can't be. And you want to pat yourself on the back. And we're like, what? Yeah, whatever. I love Tom Baker and David Tennant the best. This does not seem like the same, but I'm still giving it a chance. It's not. It's a show in its 11th season, Mary, and you're right. And that's simply what it is. And that's unfair to Jodie Whittaker. Now, you wanted to be ballsy and pat yourself on the back. Instead of putting Peter Capaldi in, you put a women doctor in then. But I heard it's something Moffat didn't want to do. Was that it? I don't know that for a fact. I read it on the internet, so it's probably a lie. I blame the BBC. While it was ITV running Who things ran a little more smoothly, which is why we managed to get Space 1999 way back when. Space 1999 was Chibblewovie was a great show. Love that show. Scared the hell out of me as a kid. I was very little when I was watching it though, so don't judge too harshly. Okay. And Ethan Harrison, oh, well, thank you. Hey, have a great night. It's evening over in the UK, and I just want to, say this. Good night. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. I love you coming into our chat and hanging out, and please come again. Please come again. The UK, I love you. I love you as a country. I want to move there someday. I've been there many, many times. My wife goes out there for business. And the fun part is she gets to go and work, and I get to go run around your country with a backpack on for a couple weeks, just having fun and checking out all the cool stuff. So yeah, I'm a bit of a well, I guess Anglophile is a bad term now. So I'm a UK file. Is that it? I just love it. Yeah, I'm the dumbass tourist who wants to run across Abbey Road, which I know has tons of fucking traffic on it, and take a picture. But yes, love that shit. You have great museums, and one day I'll tell you the story. Some of you guys know it, how I almost knocked over an entire display of Darwin's butterflies at one of your museums and walked out of there in shame. Gary Oldman as the Master, Coyote clone. Yes, take my money. Just need another 300 subs. What, Captain Robert April, you do? Well, go check out Captain Robert April's channel. He needs subs. Mr. Roboto, what ladies on the present, Gary? I don't know. The Master hates women because he's been killed by women before. Well, yeah, he's also been stopped by the Doctor many times before, but he does hate the Doctor. Oh, those girls always get the Master. Oh yeah, they showed him in an episode, Nyla Shadow. You're right. They showed Obama in an episode, but yeah, I don't know if they mentioned him. They showed him on the TV. But again, that is something that's Moffat era. Okay. Or no, did they show him in the RTD era? And it was him talking about, it was when, oh no, that was Bill Clinton did a press conference. That was from, see, I'm getting my shit mixed up now. That was from Contact, where they had Bill Clinton come in talking about the alien microbes on Mars, and they mixed it in to the movie, and it pissed a bunch of people off in the government. No, Obama was on, I can't remember if it was RTD or Moffat era, but you're right. He was on there. Sims Doctor has been shown to be sexist in the Tenet era. What about ladies? And I still, okay, Silver Spike, even though it was shown in the Tenet era, I would still question why an evil master would be sexist to who, like, he's been around for that many years. That's supposed to be the same argument for why the Doctor doesn't care if he's a man or a woman. They should be beyond that. But are they or aren't they? They're supposed to be these well-evolved aliens. And that's the thing, is they need to make Time Lords fallible. That's completely part of the story. They're not the nicest people. They are humanoid who have turned into these little balls of energy because of their proximity to the time vortex. So, and they're also elitist fucking bastards. If you go to Gallifrey, there's a bunch of people who live, on the outskirts that aren't in the city of Gallifrey. And they're lords, they have a whole system like that. Okay, so when they mentioned Obama, it wasn't critical, and I'm not saying for or against. Now, being critical against Nixon, well, I mean, history provides a critique, and that's also a president that's like way back, and that's different than current. You are in a time traveling episode. But that shit pulls me out when they bring in current stuff out. That's why I don't like, when I go to my escapism, I just don't want to fucking hear it. Now, if it comes in once in a while and it's subtle, it's fine. I'm not super sensitive to it. Maybe the kind of gay misogynist. Yeah, something like that, Renee. Which is something that is prevalent as hell. My wife deals with that all the time in the beauty industry. My wife owns a salon. Believe me, that shit is real. Not everybody, of course. I don't, it's just some. They pretty much killed off the Master. They did. So I didn't hate the episode, but I think a spark of Doctor Who has worn off, kind of like Simpsons and everything long-running series. Yeah, Mecha Random, I completely agree. I completely agree with that sentiment. That's how I felt. So, yeah, to sum up, I'll get to a couple more chats here while I am going to show my Patreon video if I can get to it. These are my wonderful patrons. I'm going to keep talking so you don't have to ditch at this point. It's just running the video to show that we find people supporting this channel, and I really appreciate them. We had a bit of a chat this morning. It was great. But yeah, to sum up what Random said, yeah, that's pretty much the sentence. The episode itself on its own, without all the fucking baggage and everything, wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible. People are can pick it apart, and that's fine. No, I'm not a fan of the female Doctor, but like, who gives a shit what I think, really? And does it kill my interest of the show? No, I still have so many great episodes I can go back. I watch an episode of Doctor Who every day. Yeah, well, you can't see it right now, but I'll show you. I have Doctor Who tattoos on my body that I'm not going to remove. I'm a huge fan. But it must be a lot like Star Wars fans feel like right now. Well, you could just be a fan of or Star Trek fans. We've got so many great episodes of good television to go back and watch. If they want to go and screw up the future, fine. The fact of the matter is, when the normies who do pay the bills and run everything, when they're all gone, when they've come and picked through the shit we love, and they're all way past being nerds anymore, and all the girls with dyed hair, their hair's, they get all the dye out of their hair. They've sold all their pop vinyls, and they've gone and married somebody in the Hamptons or up in Sebastopol up here in California. And their nerd days are long gone. We're going to be here picking up the pieces, and the pieces we're going to be picking up as Doctor Who fans, unless this takes off, is Big Finish audio adventures. That's about all we're going to have. Remember those days prior to 2005? Remember what those were like? Those dark days where we had that flash animation Doctor Who, which nobody talks about, which I kind of liked. And the last Doctor we had was the great Paul McGann, who never got a fucking proper chance to be a Doctor. When they play around with the properties like this, that's what we're left in. So I mean, hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully this injects life in the Doctor Who, and we get more Doctor Who. And then if you want to play the identity politics thing, you do a Black Doctor, which I was, kind of hoping we get. Not that I'm hoping for something. I'm hoping for the best Doctor. All right. But yeah, if to sum that up, if people want to really play the identity politics thing, then why did it have to be a white girl? Just saying. Of course, I would cast Idris Elba as Doctor Who, because we cast Idris Elba as everything here. Currently, he is my favorite. Yeah, he's going to be Catwoman and Batman in the next Batman movie. Yeah, we want Idris Elba for everything because we just love Idris Elba, and we like saying his name. For being a woman, what do you think about her performance? I talked about it earlier, Silver Spike. It's being refined, and it was a decent David Tennant impression. They're definitely going for a 10th Doctor feel. I feel that was dictated. Now, I haven't seen Jodie Whittaker and a bunch of other stuff, but she wasn't terrible. I do kind of like her line where that might work out. Oh no, it was should be fine. That should be fine. That was very Doctor, but it's very Tennant. So that's the feel I got. I don't know. What did you feel, Silver Spike? I don't think Jodie was more different than any Doctors. She didn't stand out. That's for sure, Dan Hilkin. Robot Robert Shlomo, what's up? When they stopped being LOL so random, that was my biggest fear, Robot Shlomo. And that still could happen, but the LOL so random shit, I was afraid this was going to be Tumblr Who. Okay. And it wasn't, but it still could go that way. We'll see. They had to bring people in on a very tempered episode. Okay. So they had to like temper everything down. But if this is even a moniker of success, would I be surprised if they start doubling and tripling down on identity politics and stuff like that? Nope. They will absolutely will. So prior to 2005, it was heaven on earth, Gary. Butt chugging till you drop, said Mako. Oh, man. Well said, Mako. Tumblr Who. That's right. Well, I mean, that's what it basically turned into, is Tumblr Who. Yeah, I just wanted the Doctor to be the best person for the job, says Mary Ash. Me too. David Tennant was a very unusual Doctor because he wasn't very alien. No, well, he was cold. The one thing that differentiates Jodie from Tennant's Doctor is Tennant's Doctor wouldn't have worried too much about the dead bodies. She did stand over and lament one guy dying and apologize. But then when they got to the granddad, When they got to the granddad, they're just like, oh, what do you, science? And they just like walked over his body. So yeah. Greetings from Sheffield. Mott Floyd. Hey, are there aliens in Sheffield? I want to know. David Tennant does a very good evil, by the way. He does a very good evil. Good Omens looks fucking awesome. Oh, can't wait for that show. All right, I've gone on way too long. I need other people to watch this video. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like what you saw. We are going to give this show a fair shake. That is our promise. Yes, I came in here not being a fan of the female doctor. Am I totally won over? Absolutely not. They got some work to do, but again, it's not her fault. Doctor Who's kind of sucked for the last 3 years. And I say that as a giant Doctor Who fan. Okay. So, and that's never going to change. And thank you for the $2 super chat, Mr. Roboto. Later, level 10, Gary, go work. I will. I have much more podcasting to do. Our next show will be live tonight. We're going to talk about Man in the High Castle season 3. Then we have a bunch of live streams tomorrow. We got Better Call Saul finale. We got a lot of good stuff. We do everything live here. We do live visceral recaps of television shows 15 to 20 minutes after they air. Go to nerdrotic.com for our live schedule. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/nerdrotic. Please go check it out. We give you stuff, including this month, Daleks are going out. Daleks are going to go out. So yeah, if you want to get a Dalek in your package, check it out. Check out our affiliates, which are Midnight's Edge After Dark, Mecha Random 42, and of course the great and wonderful and evil Overlord DVD himself, Doomcock. Everybody, thanks for coming in. Rolocat, Silver Spike, Mary Ashmead, D. Lunar Fox, Graham Strauss. Man, there's a lot of people. Mako, Renee Monsoyo, CD Horde, Mr. Roboto, thank you for the super chat. I do appreciate it. That helps keep the lights on around here. Oh yeah, by the way, we're doing this YouTube thing in conjunction with a comic shop full time. So yes, super chats are appreciated. Nyla Shadow, David Hill, Carrie Dalton, Mop Floyd from Sheffield. Welcome. Rob Shlomo. He's got a channel. Go check it out, please. Let's see if we got any more people out there. Silver Spike, who's actually worked on Doctor Who and is a good friend, and Souffle Girl. Yeah. So how much of a Doctor Who fan? Here, hang on. I'm going to turn the camera off real quick while I'm saying goodbye. So you can get a crotch shot here. But I could just, yeah, again. There you go. A Doctor Who fan can just pull out a Souffle Girl anytime he wants. All right. Also with Amy Pond there. Some of the best figures ever made. We love Doctor Who. So let's keep Geek Prime X, Graham Strauss. If I do miss anybody, I can only go so far in the chat, so I do apologize. Alien Sparks, 6 Scale. Gee, who else? Willie Woodward, Dan Hilkin, Captain Robert April. Honored that you're here, sir. Is there any Apple Crow? Oh, no, sorry. Level 10 henchman. Oh, that's what the super chat was. I'm trying to do a show here. Nihilist Shadow, Philip A. Demick. Carrie Dalton was in here earlier. Nigel brought Savage, Rolocat, Max Lalonde 123, Matthew Matson, who I had a chat with earlier at the patrons. That was great. Kiss, you guys you were awesome. Tanya from the UK, we have cookies, says Tanya. Tanya Louise. Yeah, I can't fucking read. Thanks for the cookies. Super Sammy Productions, and everybody else. If I missed your name, I do apologize. Please check us out in the future, and may the small folks sing songs for greatness. Ciao, everybody.